Earth did not make the water inside you. Nothing on this planet did. There is water in your blood, in your eyes, in the soft spaces between your bones, around 60% of you on an ordinary day. You probably think of it as Earth's water, rain, rivers, the tap in your kitchen. It is not Earth's water. It is water this planet was handed, already made, long before there was a kitchen, which is a stranger problem than it sounds. Because if the water was not made here, then something in it must record where it was made. And it does. Every water molecule carries a small, permanent mark of the temperature it formed at. That mark is how any of this is knowable at all. It is why a glass of water can be called older than the ground it stands on, and why that is not a poetic flourish. Start with the glass. A child fills a glass at the sink and drinks it without thinking. It is the least remarkable thing that will happen all day. But there is a problem hiding inside that glass, and it is a problem about ownership. Water is not something Earth produces. Water is something Earth received. And once you know that, the ordinary question, where did this come from, stops having an ordinary answer. To follow it properly, three things need to be separated. Where the atoms came from, where the molecule was assembled, and how it reached this planet. They are three different questions with three different answers, and they are separated by billions of years. Start with the simplest fact, the one you can feel. You are mostly water. Around 60% of an adult body, more in some places than others. Your brain and your heart run at about 73%. Your lungs higher still. Even your bones are close to a third water. Counted as molecules, that is more than a billion of them. There are more water molecules inside you right now than there are stars in the observable universe. Not slightly more. At least 1,000 times more. Here is what most people miss. That water is not a fixed quantity you carry around. It is moving through you, constantly, in both directions. Researchers tracked this in more than 5,000 people, from 8-day-old babies to 96-year-olds, across 23 countries. They used heavy water as a tracer and watched how fast it left. The rate varies enormously, with age, with body size, with heat, with altitude, with how hard someone works. But for a typical adult, roughly half the water in the body will be gone within about a week. Not evaporated, not lost, just moved on. Breathed out on a cold morning as fog. Passed into a river, into a cloud, into someone else. Hold out your hand and look at it. Most of what you are looking at was somewhere else last month, and will be somewhere else next month. So it is not a possession. It is traffic, and traffic always comes from somewhere. Now the part that makes the rest of this knowable. Most hydrogen is a single proton with a single electron, but about one hydrogen atom in every 6,400 carries a spare neutron. That heavier version is called deuterium, and it makes the water molecule it sits in very slightly heavier than its neighbors. The strange part is that the ratio is not random. It depends on how cold it was where the water formed, and how far from the sun. Colder, more distant water picks up more deuterium. And once the molecule is made, that ratio is locked. It does not wash out in a river. It does not evaporate away in a cloud. It survives being drunk. Earth's ocean water sits at a very precise value, roughly 1 deuterium for every 6,400 ordinary hydrogens. If every hydrogen atom in your body were a person, the deuterium ones would be about one person in a small town. There are something like 400,000 billion of them inside you right now, and they are the entire reason anyone can answer this question. Every reservoir in the solar system, every comet, every asteroid, every moon, carries its own number, which means water has a postcode, not a poetic one, a measurable one. So the water in a child's glass can be compared directly against water that has never touched this planet. When astronomers finally ran that comparison, the story most people had been telling fell apart. The familiar story goes like this. Early Earth was hot and dry. Comets arrived carrying ice and filled the oceans. It is a good story. It is mostly wrong. 6 comets from the outer edge of the solar system were measured first. Their water came in at around twice Earth's deuterium ratio. Too heavy. Then a spacecraft called Rosetta flew alongside a comet for 2 years and sampled its water directly, molecule by molecule. That one came in at about 3 times Earth's value. Not close, not even nearly. Meanwhile, water locked inside primitive meteorites, the leftover rubble of the asteroid belt, was measured at a value much closer to the sea. 85 of them, all pointing the same way. Which is why asteroids, not comets, became the leading candidate. And then the picture complicated itself again. One comet, Hartley 2, was measured and came back almost exactly Earth-like. Same family, wildly different fingerprint. The haunting part is what that implies. Comets are not one thing. They are many. Things with the same name. There is a third possibility, and it is the one still being argued over. Some researchers now think Earth was never dry at all, that the rock this planet was built from already carried its own hydrogen, and no delivery was needed. Nobody has settled this. Anyone who tells you it is settled is telling you a tidier story than the data supports. The water in your mouth right now took one of those 3 routes. Nobody can tell you which. But look at what all 3 answers agree on. Comet, asteroid, or the rock Earth was built from. Every candidate is only a courier. None of them made the water. They were carrying it. So where was it made? Not in a river, not in an ocean, not on any planet. Water assembles in the dark, on the surfaces of dust grains inside cold molecular clouds, the vast, slow, unlit regions between stars. The temperature there is a few tens of degrees above absolute zero. The vacuum is thinner than anything a laboratory on Earth has ever produced. Atoms drift onto a grain of dust smaller than a smoke particle, meet and stick. That is where it happens, in the emptiest and coldest place there is. And here is the part that is hard to hold. When astronomers modeled the disk of gas and dust that became the solar system, they found it could not have produced water this deuterium-rich on its own. The chemistry does not work fast enough, which means a substantial fraction of the water in this solar system was not made by the young sun's disk at all. It was inherited, already frozen, already finished, from the cloud that made the sun, older than the sun. That is a model result, not a measurement, and it should be held that way. But it is the best account anyone currently has. Go back further and it splits again. The hydrogen in your water is primordial, formed in the first few minutes of the universe, and never made since. The oxygen is not. Oxygen had to be built in the cores of massive stars, and those stars had to die before any of it got out, which means the water inside you has 2 birthdays, billions of years apart. So the honest answer has 3 layers, and they do not arrive together. The hydrogen is about as old as anything can be. The oxygen was manufactured inside stars that died before the sun existed. The molecule itself was assembled in the cold and the dark, and a great deal of it was already finished before there was a sun to shine on it. Then it was carried here, by something. That part is still being argued about. And the strangest thing is what happens next, which is nothing dramatic at all. It falls as rain. It runs into a river. Someone fills a glass at a sink. And for about a week, a molecule that has been traveling since before this planet existed does something it has never done before. It becomes part of a person who can wonder where it came from. Look at the glass on the table beside you. It is the oldest thing in the room. You are borrowing something very old. For a few days at a time, water that was made in the dark becomes a person, and then moves on. If you want more videos like this, subscribe now. There is a lot more buried in the small questions about a very large universe.